Hey everybody, my name is Christine Elise. You may know me from the Chucky franchise. I played Kyle, and you are listening to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There horror movie review podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate all the support we've gotten. And we're super excited about the guests we have on our show today. We are more than thrilled to be joined today by the one and only Christine Elise McCarthy. If you are a listener of this show, you definitely know her as Child's Play franchise fan favorite character, Kyle. But she's an actress, an author, a photographer, a YouTuber, a producer, and also a writer. So you're very busy, it sounds like, Christine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can you just tell us a little bit about what got you into acting?
Okay. So I grew up in Boston. I'm from Boston, and I was always a big fan of old Hollywood movies, the black and white movies, in particular the film noir and the gangster sort of ones. And I also collected 1930s paperback pulp fiction novels as well. 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, like the old paperbacks. That was my jam, right? So didn't really know what I wanted to do to go to college. And then Blade Runner came out. And Blade Runner was, in my estimation, a modernization of the film noir genre. And I loved it. And I thought, that's what I'll do. I'll be a director. I'll be a director, and I will, single-handedly bring film noir back to its previous eminence. And so that's what I went to film school for a year in Boston. I went to BU, Boston University. And then it just seemed like dumb to do a film school thing in a town that didn't have a film industry. So I decided to move to California and establish residency and go to a state school here. And in that time, in the year and in the years while I was going to college, I would learn my way around, do some internships, get my feet wet a little bit so that I wouldn't get out of college like I would have in Boston. Like, okay, now I've got a degree, but I don't even know where Hollywood Boulevard is, and I have never done an internship. I got nothing,
Right.
I start way behind. So I moved to LA at 19 by myself, didn't know anybody, and got a job in Boston. I was making minimum wage, which at the time was $3.35 an hour. Difficult to pay $400 a month rent on $3.35. I ended up getting a job on Rodeo Drive as a cashier for $6 an hour, for a whopping $6 an hour. And I had to work 60 hours a week to get by, so the year of residency, I established that, and then film school just seemed like further and further away on the horizon as an unreachable dream. And one time I thought, hey, after work, maybe I'll take an acting class. Like, if I'm going to be a director, I'm going to be directing actors, I should know what it is they're doing. And I took an acting class, and I liked it more than I thought I would. And I thought, hey, people that can't act make a living all the time. Why can't I be one of them? And so I tried to get an agent and succeeded and started working pretty quickly because I looked like a kid. I was in my 20s, but I looked like Child's Play 2. I play 17, but I was 24.
Right. So you have a ton of TV credits to your name. Everything from 21 Jump Street to Baywatch to Law and Order, and of course your biggest was 90210. Can you talk a little bit about your TV career and how that differs from time on a movie set? Is there much of a difference?
There's a difference on two levels. One, on a movie set, like it's a fixed project, and you work with who you work with, and in 3 weeks or 3 months, whatever the movie is, you're done. On a TV show, it depends on who you are. If you're a guest star and just doing like one episode, which is most of my resume is that, or just doing a handful of episodes, it's scary because it's not your project. And if it's a show that's been on for a while, they're established, they've got a family, the crew is family. Right. You don't know who the crazy people are. You don't know who the assholes are. You don't know where the lunch truck is. You don't know anything, and who to avoid, who to be nice to. You don't know, and it's like being a new kid in school, in the most awkward way, the worst ways that can be. So that can be terrifying. If you're a series regular with your show, which has happened to me very rarely, but like for the BH 90210 reboot this summer, I was less of a guest on that one, and I knew everybody for 30 years too, and that's amazing. And that's like camp. It's like I'm here with these people and we're tight and I'm treated like an equal, and it's fantastic. So it can be really terrifying. Just let me also say, all work is awesome. All work, whether it's scary or not, I'm grateful for all work, and it's always a positive experience. It's so hard to get work that, whining about it being hard isn't what I want to spend my time doing, because it's great.
Understand.
Before I ask my question, I just want to let you know I told my dad who I was interviewing, and he knew exactly who you were from 90210. So I thought I wanted to let you know that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. So this is a horror movie podcast. We would be remiss if we didn't at least ask a little bit about your role in Child's Play 2. And Chucky, tell us a little bit about your experience on set. And is it true that you didn't get that part at first?
It's true that I didn't get cast right away. So I auditioned for it, and I was doing, at the time, I had just gotten a streak of jobs. I'd just done Jump Street. I was actively doing Baywatch at the time. And I read for it, and I didn't get it. And they were like, they didn't find a girl they liked more, though. And they're like, well, maybe we should bring the girls that were like the near misses back and see if if we missed something,
Right.
And I was going to work that day on the set of Baywatch, so I had the audition at like 9:30 in the morning, so I could make my 10:30 call at the beach across town on Baywatch. And when you're working, you have less of that stink of desperation that you have as an actor. Like you want every job so desperately. And I was like, fuck you people, I'm working. Like I got a job. And so, even though it was just one episode of Baywatch, but I think I went in with more attitude than I went in the first time. And I asked Don Mancini about it recently and said, who do I owe my gratitude to? Who picked me? And he was like, oh, that second time through it was unanimous. Everybody was like, that's the girl. So.
Awesome.
That is awesome. You have an awesome cameo in the unrated cut of Cult of Chucky. I went crazy when I saw it. I thought that was amazing that Kyle was back. You're overwhelmingly a fan favorite character in this franchise. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can say too much, but are you involved at all with the sci-fi Child's Play TV series that Don Mancini is adapting? And thank God, by the way, that Brad Dourif is back for that. I mean, no offense to anyone involved with the remake, but I'm personally not a fan of that. But so, are you involved with that at all?
I'm not officially involved in that. I haven't been offered a part and a deal, Right. So I want to be. They know I want to be. I can't imagine I won't be, but it's not anything that's official. So it could change, and it could. I mean, they know I want it, and I can't imagine it wouldn't happen. But that's not official, so it's something I can announce. So I don't. And with COVID, with what we're going through with the plague here, I don't know. It could get pushed. It could get pulled. It could. I'm hearing that they're excited and it's still going to go, but that everything can change. And the reason I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, I'm definitely involved, is you don't believe you have a job as an actor till you walk on that set. You could be making a deal and the deal falls through. Like I was a spin-off character from 90210 to do Melrose Place, and while we were negotiating the deal, I didn't like the deal they offered me, and I turned it down. So I had already shot like photo sessions for like Interview magazine and stuff. Like that's how sure it was, and it didn't happen. So you never know until you're there,
Right. Absolutely.
And so fingers crossed, though. I want it back because 90210 this summer last time was super fun. The reboot of 90210 was super fun working with people I've known for that long, and I'm even closer to the Chucky people. Like Alex Vincent and I are like siblings. He's like
that's awesome.
He lives in Florida though, and I live in LA, so I only ever get to see him at horror conventions. But we're super close. I love Alex. Don lives here. I stayed friends with Don for all the intervening years, even when I wasn't involved in the projects he was doing. We stayed friends socially. And Jennifer Tilly, I've known from outside. I knew before I got Chucky. I knew Jennifer, so certainly before she was involved in it. And Fiona Dourif is an awesome chick. So. That's a set that I am really eager to be on. So let's hope.
That would be awesome.
Let's hope it happens.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah. Fingers crossed for sure.
Yes.
If you don't mind me asking real quick, can you just talk to us? Like I said before we started this interview, I love Child's Play 2. I love your character, Kyle, in the movie. Can you just tell me a little bit about the last scene in the warehouse? Just how I love that ending, honestly. There's a lot going on, but it's such a fun, segment of the movie.
It's more than half the movie, isn't it? I love when they call it a scene. It's like, no, it's like 45 minutes.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So there's like a million scenes within that scene,
I would just like to know how they got the Chucky doll to climb up the rollers and all that stuff. it's very entertaining to watch.
The doll takes 9 puppeteers. Hold on a second. I am remiss. Can you hold on 1 minute? I'll be right back. Is that
No
cool?
problem.
No problem.
Here a sec. I know this is an audio podcast, but you guys can see me, so I thought I should have him here too, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He's a trick or treat. He's one of the trick or treat dolls.
Yeah. Those
he-
look great, actually. I've seen those a lot. Yeah, those look amazing.
Yeah, I did an unboxing of him on my YouTube channel. He's pretty spectacular and bigger than I remember, but he used the mold that they used for the real doll. So anyway, this is a Chucky doll I'm holding for those who can't see me. He takes 9 puppeteers or that doll in Child's Play 2 needed 9 puppeteers to run. So one guy would do his right hand, one would do his left, one would do his right leg, left leg, then the eyeballs were a guy, the mouth was a guy, and they can make him do anything they want, but they can make him do anything they want. So they have a fully animatronic one and they have different versions of them. The one that's just a doll from the waist up, and there's fully all head to toe, and like the one where I find Joanne at the sewing machine, and that Chucky on my back, he just kicks his legs. That's all he does. You see that thing kicks. He just kicks.
Right.
That's his function. He's the kicking Chucky, So they can pretty much make him do anything though with all the various dolls they have. And I think one of the funnest truths about the whole Chucky franchise is that he's still a practical special effects doll. He's not CGI. So I think that's what kept him special and what separates the legitimate franchise from the fake franchise.
I'm glad you called it the legitimate franchise. I completely agree.
I don't think anybody has scared us or our fans more than Candyman and number 1 Chucky. Chucky scared me to death as a little kid.
All the time.
That's his job, right? He scared me so much. When I go to conventions, I hear that a lot. So I go, that's his job. That's what he's here for. And it's weird that inanimate things coming to life is always spooky. You always have some dolls are creepy anyway, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Now
I was
he's
a little
just
creeped
a
out
fun
when
shit
you
talker.
sat him on your lap.
Right? You a little nervous? I have him. He stands up on a chair in my living room, looking out the window. So people who walk by, he's my watchdog. A pizza man almost shit himself. He's Chucky in the window. He almost fainted. But
Understandable.
yeah, I know. Doesn't scare me, because the number 1 question that Alex Vincent gets asked is, did you have nightmares? Did you as a kid, and do you now have nightmares? And you just don't, because it's so not real,
Right.
It's so not real. And the 9 puppeteers are there, and I don't know if you've ever seen this photograph of me in the car scene, leaning over and kissing Chucky.
Mhm.
Because in the car scene with the cop, and you've seen dolls that pee scene.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In between takes, the puppeteers are making him bat his eyelashes at me and like his hand on my thigh, and he's fucking cute and flirting with me. But it's not naturally menacing because he gets relaxed into that doll face again, And so when they were doing that, I leaned in to kiss him, and they caught that shot. Someone snapped a picture of it, and I still have it. It's a great one. And I made them let me recreate it when I did the cameo on Cult, and made them with that doll on the block, the head on the block. I made them create the kiss scene. So I have, almost 30 years apart, me kissing Chucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah, tight.
So you recently starred in a film called Landfill, where you acted alongside fellow horror alum Linda Blair. Can you tell us anything about that movie?
I didn't act alongside her in that we never had any scenes together. She worked on days and I worked on different days. So we both played cops, I believe, which is interesting that we didn't have a cop scene together. It's taken a long time to come out. That's the thing I can tell you most. It's a supernatural thing. It's the kids are the stars, though. It's little kids and a supernatural sort of bad guy they're trying to overcome in a sort of Stranger Things sort of little kids.
Okay, yeah.
It's not like Stranger Things at all, but it's like that
Right.
kids and
It's led.
natural one. I haven't seen it, so I can't tell you. I haven't seen it. My part is more like a cameo. It's a small little part, but the script was great, so I have high hopes for it.
Good.
Blair is a fucking legend, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you've obviously been incredibly successful outside of acting as well. I mean, let's talk about Bathing in the Single Girl, a short film you wrote, directed, starred in, won a ton of awards. I believe you said some of that was drawn from your own experiences. Can you talk a little bit about how that whole thing came to fruition?
Yeah, so Bathing, it's a 10-minute comedy. So there's a little comedy theater in my neighborhood here in Hollywood called the Upright Citizens Brigade, and they used to have a show they would do there like once a month called Four Stories in a Cover, and it would be four people reading a 2,000-word true life comedy essay about themselves, and then somebody doing a goofy cover of a song. So four stories in a cover, and I would go to it all the time. The writers were always brilliant. You'd kiss yourself laughing. It was really great. And my friend and I went, and she challenged me. She said, "I'll write a piece if you write a piece, and we'll submit them and see if we can be on stage next time we're here." So I did it. She didn't. I did it. They took my piece and I did it on stage, and it went well. And my friends were like, "Oh, you should really have recorded that because your agents don't think you can do comedy." And it's true. No one in this town thinks I can do comedy. So they go, "You should have recorded it. What a shame." So I did it again at a different comedy theater, and I did have somebody record it. And I posted the 10-minute video. It's like one camera, shitty lighting and stuff. And I posted it on Facebook. And a friend of mine who's a big commercial director that does like beauty, like hair products, and like girls with tossing their hair around, beautiful women commercials. And he said, "Oh, that's really funny, but it looks really ugly. Let's make a short film out of it." And we started to, and he shot with me for a couple of days, and then he got bored with it. And he's like, "Here's the footage, you can have it." So I got another friend to shoot it for me, and I finished it and put it together. So it's 10-minute comedy, and it shot all in my house over the course of a year, 5 days over the course of a year. And then I did a bunch of film festivals with it, like 100 film festivals with it. And toward the end of the run, somebody said, "That's really funny. If you can write more stories, you should really write a novel." And so I did.
Nice.
So basically, if you suggest something to me and tell me to do it, I do it. I'm a very well-behaved. I'm open to suggestions. You should, write the thing. Yeah, you should record it. Yeah, you should make a short film. Yeah, you should write a book. Yeah, so I did. So the book is dirty comedy. It's not erotica. It's not like 50 Shades. It's not sexy at all. It's super embarrassing, regrettable, dirty stories. The vast majority of which are not true. It's fiction. It's fiction. But a handful of stories are either true for me or true for friends. I stole their stories and incorporated them in there, and I'll not tell you any of them. One thing I will say which one's the real one. Anyway, I'm proud of it though. It's on Amazon. You can get it a paperback for $10, or you can get a digital copy of it and read it on a tablet or whatever. But I think it's really, really funny. It's not chick lit. It's not chick lit, the chick literature. It looks like a book men wouldn't like. I promise you, if you guys read it, each of you will literally laugh out loud, like need to put it down for a minute to stop laughing at least 5
Nice. Okay.
It's raunchy enough.
There we go.
Boys, trust me. It's not trying to be sexy, so get ready to be scandalized. It's very offensive.
I love it.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that then.
Yeah.
For sure. I love it already.
If you don't laugh out loud 5 times, tell me and I'll give you your $10 back.
Deal.
You mentioned that you adapted that into a novel. So being a writer your entire life, a lot of people don't actually know that you wrote some episodes of 90210 when you were on that show as well. How did that come about?
I did the show, and then toward the end of my first season 2 there, Jason Priestley and I got together. We were a couple for 5 years. I was living with Jason, and so obviously I'm immersed in 90210 because I'm living with Jason and he's doing that show,
Right.
life, right? So, but I watched him. He as time went on, he began producing the show and directing the show and being involved in ways that he couldn't have with other shows that he didn't have access. I was like, that's really smart to like take advantage of the access to this thing. Absolutely. And to them being willing to let you try stuff that they wouldn't let, other shows not let you try it, or they wouldn't let somebody they didn't know like as well as they know you try it. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna use. I have access too. I know these people. So I pitched a storyline that to the writers' room that the cast went on a booze cruise, like on the Memorial Day or something, right? And they go on a booze cruise in the LA in Pacific here, and a storm happens, and Donna slips and hits her head, and she has one of those like Wizard of Oz, Dorothy has that fever dream that is what the whole rest of the movie is, and then
right.
You were my dream, and you were my dream. She has one of those things, and but I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched Gilligan's Island, but that she has a Gilligan's Island fever dream. So
Oh,
it's sort of Gilligan's Island where that band, the Mosquitoes, was trapped on. Is it like a British pop band like the Beatles? It's called the Mosquitoes.
Yes.
Like on the island too. And so then the girls put together a band, like called the Honeybees, and the skipper and everything. They put a band together too. And so the 90210 characters have dropped really nicely into the Gilligan's Island characters. So, so Donna would be Marianne, and Jane Garth would be Ginger, and so they all fit really well. Luke would be the professor, Jason would be Mr. Howell, Andrea is Mrs. Howell.
Oh, that's great.
We've got Ian as the skipper and Brian as Gilligan, and it just worked perfectly. And they're like, "That's hilarious. We love that. We're going to do it." And they couldn't get the rights from Sherwood Schwartz to do it. So, because at the time, I think they were going to make a Gilligan's Island feature film. End up doing. But they were like, "Oh, that was great. We can't do it, though. Would you be willing? Would you want to write just as a freelance writer and do other episodes?" And I said, "Of course I would." And so I did.
Nice.
That's awesome. I said I would have loved to see that episode, by the way.
Right? But everybody's new favorite episode.
I agree.
So you also obviously have a passion for cooking. You have a very successful cooking channel on YouTube and a blog called Delightful, Delicious, The Lovely. Can you tell us a little about those and what got you in? Like, what is it about cooking that you love so much?
I think calling it very successful is overstated. I think I have like 6,000 followers, and in the world of YouTube, that is incredibly underachieving. There's like 2-year-olds with 1 million followers. So it's a pretty well kept secret that I have this channel. But it's been up for 3 years. I think I have like 150 episodes. The blog predates the channel. One day I just got a wild hair. I was like, I'm gonna do a food blog now, and I just did it. And I did it for a couple of years, and I just felt stagnant. And then one day I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll do a cooking channel instead. And I didn't even have a camera. I shot the first episode on my iPhone. I didn't know how to edit. It's all one take. I shot in the wrong direction in my every other episode. Shot a better angle in the kitchen. And then by the 12th to 13th episode, I had purchased proper mics and a better camera and some lighting, and the production quality goes way up after like the 12th episode. But I gave up meat in the 80s, so the blog was a vegetarian. I ate seafood, pescatarian. Blog the channel's vegan, but it's not like holier than thou. Let me chide you for your choices, vegan channel. It's a channel meant to be like people like the kid comes home from college and declares herself a vegan, or the dad gets a heart attack and the doctor goes, "Now you are a vegan." That happened to a friend of mine. He's in his 50s and he's in his 60s actually. He's a medically induced vegan. There's a lot of reasons for people to just want to cut back or whatever, right? It's good for the planet, it's good for animals, it's good for your body, it's good for everything. It's a win-win-win. So the channel is meant to make dishes that I do a fucking amazing vegan Big Mac. Is a vegan Big Mac pizza, but the Big Mac is spectacular. And orange chicken and that kind of stuff, things that are here that you can that maybe you would want to try it meatless, or like you said, like if you have a kid comes home and mom doesn't want to make 2 different meals, one for the family and one for the kid that's vegan. You can make this vegan dish that makes everybody happy because it tastes like what it's supposed to taste like.
There you go.
Some of it's even convincing enough that you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you.
So shifting gears a little bit, we started asking this when we had Lisa Wilcox on the show a while back, and we try to ask every guest. Can you tell us, what's the weirdest, most odd thing that you've ever witnessed or had happen to you at a horror convention? Is there anything that stands out?
You know what? I'm such a fan of those things. I really love them for a lot of reasons. I love them because I get to see Alex Vincent at them, and it's our quality time is those things. There's always actors there that I've worked with in the past that I haven't seen in a long time. It's fun to hang out with them. There's always actors there that I'm a fan of myself, and I walk around like an idiot giggling when I walk past their table. I'm too intimidated to ask for a photo or anything. And then you meet fans who are awesome, and so many fans have really rare stuff, especially original art, one-off like fan art and stuff. It's incredible to see that stuff. It doesn't suck to sit at a table all day and have people tell you how great you are. It's not a hard way to spend a day. And the vending rooms, the vendors have all this incredible stuff. It's just everything about them is fantastic. And so the first one I ever did was Chiller in New Jersey 10 years ago, or 11 years ago maybe now. And that one was my first one ever. And so it was my virgin experience of it. And they're a particularly handsy crowd. I so much. A lot of side boobing, like I put some running, a lot of side boob being cocked. And it's how it's supposed to go down. Like I feel like a prostitute. I'm like, want to be as nice as I can, and I'm one of the actors that comes out from behind the table and stands out in front of it with you and like puts my arm around. I touch you, you know. Some actors are not into it. I think it's fun now. That may change with the plague, but I got a lot of side boob cocked, and hands drifting south. But that hasn't proven to be the case at most shows. So I don't know what was going on that day. I don't know what I was giving off that day that made everyone look like they just grab a piece, but they were. But nothing bad. The only story that I can think of that's spectacular didn't even happen to me. It happened to Kane Hodder, and Kane. People have him sign machetes all the time, you know. And you know who Kane is, right? Everyone knows who Kane is.
Yes. Oh,
So
absolutely.
I love Kane, by the way. He's an awesome guy. And I only got to know him from these conventions, so I'm a big Kane Hodder fan. But apparently somebody brought him a machete to sign, and he was swinging around like playing, because he's real. Have you ever seen Kane at a show, at a convention?
Oh, and he's very, he'll choke you and it'll hurt. So I mean,
Right.
he's very out there.
Like attacks you, and he gets into it. And the fans love that. So that's what you're there for. I think it's fucking great.
Absolutely.
So anyway, he's swinging this machete around, and it banged his friend. His own friend was behind the table with him, and it banged his friend's arm and almost cut his friend's arm off. So
Oh my God.
Actual real machete, and he didn't realize it, and he horribly hurt his friend. And then I'm thinking, who's letting people out real machetes?
I was just about
I was gonna say, how in the hell did that happen?
10,000 people here, and some fuckers walking around with a machete. But that happened apparently. I didn't see it, but that's a pretty horrific story. And Kane's a good boy too, so I'm sure he was properly horrified.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me and Brian were in line at Days of the Dead in Atlanta in February in Derek Mears' line, and we saw all kinds of people with real machete. I was like, are they allowed to bring these in here? I was like, this is a thing, huh? Okay.
Okay.
Danny Trejo must sign a lot of those too.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine.
But yeah, no, nothing bad. In fact, I was talking to somebody else earlier today and saying like to the average mainstream American, if you drop them out of oblivion into a convention and they look around, you're seeing all kinds of wacky costumes, really elaborate, crazy, awesome costumes, a lot of tattoos, a lot of piercings, a lot of people that look counterculture.
Right.
And people walking around with machetes and stuff, and they're bleeding, really realistic special effects wounds on people, and like you think, oh my God, I'm my own worst nightmare. But in fact, it's a community of like very family type people, lots of kids there, and like I leave my table and there's a bunch of shit on my table, and my friends are like, you go walk away from your table, and people just steal stuff. Like nobody's ever going to steal something from my table. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
That community is fantastic. So
Absolutely.
Except for a couple of boob grabs and nothing bad.
Absolutely. So, tell us what you're working on now. Is there anything our audience needs to be on the lookout for in the future?
I'm in lockdown.
Right. Right.
It's still sort of, shelter in place, if you please, here. It's not like a law, but like they don't want you out. There's nowhere to go, really.
Absolutely.
And I'm not ready to go to restaurants and bars yet, and I'm glad I haven't, because despite we're having in California having the worst week of the whole run. Like it was bad. It got a little bit better, and we opened up, and now it's way up here. It's like worse than ever here. I don't know how they're not going to shut the thing all back down again. Right. So I'm working on getting really good at doing nothing. I can do nothing so well, you wouldn't believe it. It's amazing. I've really, really mastered it. And day drinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, the day drinking has gone way the fuck up. There's no doubt about that.
So it's noon. I guess I'll have a beer.
That's perfect.
I've been ready for 8 weeks.
Oh, man.
So yeah, the only thing on my horizon is, I think, fingers crossed, is the Chucky show, which isn't even a thing for me yet. And again, like I said, who knows when it'll even happen. Like Canada will let them in. Right. I heard a rumor that if production goes to Canada, that any American that has to go from the airport to 14 days of quarantine
Jesus.
to do anything. And then productions have to spend a ton of money on, like, I was talking to Don. He's like, yeah, when we do it, like any love scenes or anything where all the actors are by union law meant to be 6 feet apart. Like, how are you going to shoot a movie where no one can be closer than 6 feet apart? So you can't do any love scenes. And he's like, I don't know, it's hard to do murder scenes. Like, how do you do a killing and not be near?
Absolutely.
So,
True.
Everybody's, I know all the television that goes back in production, like the big producers are like, I have all these scenes, like high school shows, right? You do a high school show, you can't have anybody, like, say, like 13 Reasons Why, and you've got all these, like, kids in locker rooms and, like, football scenes, and you can't do any of that stuff anymore. You can't have any kind of a crowd in a stadium. You can't do anything like that. So all these shows had to be rewritten and retooled to have everybody in, like we are right now, like, alone in a room, and somehow make a show out of that, you know?
Right.
So Chucky's going to have some challenges that it wouldn't have had without COVID, and that's true for everybody. So I'm just like I didn't do my cooking channel for a long time. Then I got on it for a while. Then I got over it. It's gotten so bad. Like, having one thing to do is overwhelming. I can't do the show. I have to go to the bank today. You know.
I know how that.
To go to the supermarket. That's it. That's all I can do in a day.
Right. I know that feeling. Yep. Absolutely.
Oof! That supermarket took it out of me. I need a beer.
Kristen, we really want to thank you again for joining us. We're all big fans of you, and especially your character Kyle in Child's Play 2. That's, like I told you earlier, that's my favorite of the franchise. I love that movie. I'm personally inviting you to Days of the Dead in Atlanta. I'd love to meet you and get a signature, baby.
I know. There's a whole Chucky reunion at Days of the Dead in Indianapolis.
Oh, we keep seeing it.
I hope they come to Atlanta, too. So I'm personally inviting you there.
Yeah, you can sit at our table.
Days of the Dead doesn't like me, I don't think.
Like I said, you can be part of the Don't Go Out There podcast and come sit at our table.
Yeah, because people think actors can just show up at conventions. You have to get invited by the promoter, and there's a whole hierarchy, and there's all kinds of personalities behind the scenes, and agents, and the promoter doesn't like my agent or whatever, and then and their fans. These promoters are fans too, and like the Indianapolis show has so far, if it holds up, if things don't get shut down again, it has Alex and Brad and Fiona and Kevin Yeager, who created Chucky, and his wife Catherine Hicks, who's the mom in the first one, right? So, I wasn't invited.
Bastards.
So, yeah, that's a lot.
Really? Seriously?
That's a lot of cast. Like, how many more do you need? Everybody that was ever in this franchise, for all the time? Probably not. It becomes a diminishing returns thing for the promoter to keep flying them in and putting them up if they have enough for that one project to represent it properly,
Right.
So Days of the Dead, I don't know if I pissed that guy off or something or what. So I don't know if that'll ever happen, but any other con that invites me, I show up.
Would you like to give a shout out to your social medias or anything before we get out of here?
If you go to bathingbook.com, bathing spelled like take a bath, BATHING, bathingbook.com. You can there's a link to Amazon to buy the book. The film is there. You can watch the short film. There's a tab that says the film. You can go there and watch that. And then in the contact page is all my social media. I'm particularly aggressive on Instagram, but I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter. Actually, really, I'm on Instagram and it kind of auto posts onto Twitter. I'm not really a Twitter person, but I am a full-blown Instagram person, so.
Okay, definitely. We'll make sure we tag you and shout you out and all that. Thank you again for joining the show. It was a great honor. We really appreciate your time. We love Child's Play 2, and we'll make sure we send Days of the Dead a very strong email or Facebook message.
Don't make him mad. I don't want to make him mad. I want to like so.
No, we just want to bring up the subject. That's all. All we want to do is talk. That's all.
Hands are
We just want to talk.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, we really appreciate it for you. We really appreciate your time for joining us. This was fun. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Boys, have a good one.
You too.
You too. Thanks for
Stay
joining.
safe out there. And just want to remind everybody to don't go out there.